Lizzie Borden, that's a whole nother story. That's a fascinating case,
Yes.
but we'll do that another time. Are you ready to
Abs-
get this show on the road?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's get it. Well, we're live and it's Tuesday night, and we ask that question each and every Tuesday and Thursday. Amelia,
What's the buzz?
hello, you got it. What's the buzz? We are live, the popcast of all popcasts. You heard me right?
Absolutely.
Not a
Popcast.
podcast anymore, we're a popcast. So tonight we have a really interesting series of shows. We're starting about a 12 episode series starting tonight. We're going to do something a little different. We've not done it before. We're going to go inside the unsolved murder. What does a detective go through to solve a case? What happens if you can't solve a case? Well, we got Amelia and I. By the way, this is Amelia, the pit bull.
Hi,
Amelia Pitbull
everyone.
Chapman.
Good evening.
Amelia and I have scoured some of the most fascinating cases. And I think, Amelia, that we've got a pretty damn good handle on some really compelling cases over the next 10 or 12 weeks.
Yes, we do. And we had everyone vote. And so far, this is the winner so far.
This was the winner. Yeah, we did it. By the way, we did a poll. You can't make this up.
No.
We did a poll, and we asked people to vote on what they would want to see. And overwhelmingly, unsolved murders was the winner.
Yeah, that's unusual because you would think it would be something else. But surprisingly, this is it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Tonight, we're going to start off with a really interesting, a sad case, but
Yes.
very, very complicated, very convoluted, and no closer now than they were the day it happened. The case of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey. And I'm sure, Amelia, everybody knows by now that was alive at the time what the JonBenet Ramsey case was all about. Go ahead and fill everybody and tell them what it was all about.
It's just so sad, especially if you're a parent with children, especially the day after Christmas that it happened, when they, this beautiful little girl pageantry winner, and they find her, actually her parents, find her in the basement. And of course, they find her not alive, as you know, and they find her.
Well, you know what, Amelia, I'm going to stop you right there because you said something very, very important.
Mhm.
They found her in the basement.
Yes.
Now, I want people to understand something because you can't make this stuff up.
No.
The police had already been in the house. Okay?
Yes.
As soon as the police got there, who else showed up? Family and friends.
Yes. Supposedly to look for her.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
Supposedly
Yes.
to look for her. Let me tell you what happened, folks, in case you need to wake up from your sleep or I need to pull the rock off of your head.
Right.
This whole thing was a setup, okay?
Exactly.
From jump, it was a setup. Somebody killed this kid. Some family member killed this little girl.
Absolutely.
A very close family member, like a sibling type, like a brother. Wink, wink, a brother.
And with parent assistance.
Yeah. I believe, absolutely, I believe it, that he did it. I think he was coerced to do it by the mother. You're talking about a family that was, where do we? They were rich, powerful, incredibly affluent. They were also incestuous, and didn't let anybody in. Only immediate family and close friends, and there were few, very few
Very
of
few
them.
close friends. You had to
Yeah.
be one of them that would hold a secret. I mean, absolutely could keep a
Oh, I
secret
got
close
news
friend.
for you, Amelia. I got news. It's not, and I respect that, but
Mhm.
it's not that complicated. Um, the oh, here we go. It's Kevin. Hey, Kevin's in the chat room.
And
Hey,
also,
Kevin, how are you,
too,
brother?
with
Um,
the evidence they find is actually something that belongs to Patsy, the
well, we're going
mother.
to talk about
Yeah.
the evidence. We're going to talk a lot
Hmm.
about the evidence tonight because there was something found that nobody even thought about it
No,
at the time.
exactly.
So let me give everybody a little heads up. I'm going to read a little synopsis here, so
Yes.
bear with me. And so here's the deal. That's in summary.
Hmm.
6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey is killed in Boulder, Colorado. Killed in her home. Her parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, they called the police at 5:52 a.m. the following morning to report that their daughter is missing. Although police found a ransom note, we're going to talk about that too.
Yes.
They found a ransom note demanding $118,000. I want you to stop for just a second, folks, and think about something. $118,000 is a very odd amount of money to ask for a ransom. Why not 200,000 or a half a million
Or a
or a
million.
million?
Right.
Okay.
Or at
The
least 3
money would
million.
never be necessary, however, because JonBenet's body was found under a blanket in the basement that afternoon. The crime scene became a national sensation. With no signs of an intruder or forced entry, suspicion quickly fell upon JonBenet's parents and brother. The ransom, listen to this one, I just said it too. The ransom note seemed suspicious to authorities because they thought the same thing I just said. That's a really odd amount of money to ask for. 118,000 is a strange amount of money to ask for. Not only did the strangely specific amount of ransom of 118,000 was an exact amount of John Ramsey's bonus money,
Of
that we
last
don't,
year.
yes, his exact amount was 118,000, his bonus money. The paper that the ransom note was written on was from the Ramsey home.
Stationary.
Nobody
No.
even bothered
No.
to think about this.
Yes.
Listen to what we're talking about. It's crazy. The note also seemed to be unusually wordy. For the curious public, and there was many, for the curious public, the fact that John and Patsy Ramsey failed to cooperate with the investigation fueled speculation about their guilt. In addition, JonBenet's active participation in beauty pageants, which is a big factor here, Amelia, big factor.
Yes.
Her participation in beauty pageants, which required her to wear heavy makeup and sophisticated clothing, was widely considered inappropriate by the general public because she looked like a miniature woman. Like you don't dress children up in lipstick and makeup because they look like they're targets for pedophiles.
Exactly.
They're targets for
Exactly what you
pedophiles.
said.
I said a couple of things in there that have been the cause of conjecture for years. Number one, the amount of money, $118,000 for this ransom note,
The
which
stationary.
just so happened, Amelia, just so happened to be the exact amount of John Ramsey's bonus from his job. Okay. He
Very
was, I
specific.
believe he was I want to make sure I get this right. He was a software pioneer, software developer. He worked in the computer business. We know that. but nobody would know if you're not part of the what do you call it? If you're not part of the inner circle, you would never know that, right?
Correct.
You'd
You would
have
not
to be
know
in on it to know what
the
about
exact
that amount.
bonuses, exactly what you had last
Exactly.
year, the year before, this current year of
Yeah.
Christmas, exactly. And also to the stationery, and the words were very exquisite, very professional, like really well written, well spoken, like
It
you would
also, by the way, did anybody mention it also happened to match Patsy Ramsey's handwriting.
to right to the letter, the T's, the I's, the
And
L's, the cursive.
nobody even thought about that. And the police looked over it. A A they were paid to look over it. Paid to look the other way, number 1. Or B, they were really stupid and never considered it. Or C, you can get away with murder in Boulder, Colorado because their police department sucks. Okay?
Or you could
Pick
know the
your
police
choice.
captain. The police captain could be one of your best friends.
Yeah. Oh, it just so happens that, yeah, that the police captain was one of his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Something else we have to consider.
Yes.
JonBenet was found with a white electrical cord around her neck. That electrical cord came from the house.
Yeah.
Why do we know this? We know this because there were several other extension cords that looked just like that were all over the house. And apparently, Patsy Ramsey liked stark colors like white,
Yes.
black.
They
She
had to
didn't
match
like
perfect.
greens and browns.
No, it
She
had to be a
liked
specific color
blacks and whites.
to match the certain walls or to hide them around
Yeah, but
certain
the
things.
other thing too is if you ever watched her, every interview she ever gave, she was wearing black and white.
Yes.
Everyone, every single interview she ever had was a black and white outfit on.
Yes. And then another thing too was the paintbrush that they found, a broken paintbrush.
Tell
And
everybody about that.
yes, it was, she had they had her hair in pigtails, and apparently the pigtails were wrapped around with a cord, and a paintbrush was like broken into pieces, and it had varnish and different color paints around the brush, and it had Korea written around. It was like stamped on it, and it just happened to be one of her paintbrushes, of course, because she loved to paint.
Yeah,
And it was wrapped around, and it matched one of hers. It was actually one of her paintbrushes that was what was missing
yeah.
from her paint sets.
Oh,
How
we
could
know
they
that.
know that it was there? Somebody had to have been from the house and got it and tied it with her.
Who had
And
access to it?
yeah, the family only, of
Mommy,
course.
daddy,
Daddy
your
and
brother.
brother. Exactly.
Now, no one has, and I can't even believe that the police department never bothered to do one little thing. Come up with a motive.
Exactly.
What's the motive for killing a 6-year-old girl? Jealousy?
Yes.
Who could be jealous? Maybe Big Brother?
They did interview the maid, but they left that out. I found I did some research, and they interviewed the maid that the brother would get some of his feces and put it around JonBenet when she was little, around her bed,
Uh-huh.
and the maid would have to,
We
of
know,
course,
yep.
clean it up. And just a lot of other different stuff would make her cry, would hit her
Yeah.
when the mom wasn't even looking, and it was something that she had fell over or something like that. But he loved doing the
Well,
feces stuff, and that
yeah,
was awful.
what Amelia's talking about, if in
Hmm.
case you don't know what she's talking about.
Burke.
Burke Ramsey,
Yes.
JonBenet's brother,
Yes.
was a couple of years, just a few years older at the
Yes.
time. So I believe the motive was jealousy.
Yes, very much. He was so jealous.
And what she's telling you is that Burke Ramsey basically took feces,
His own feces.
his own
Yes.
feces, and basically smeared it around
Uh,
JonBenet's.
yes. And her
You know,
crib, her
her
bedroom,
yeah,
everything. It was awful.
yeah, her area.
Yes.
I believe also, I believe also, and they've They've talked about this. Nobody ever expounded on it. But there was a strong incestuous tie in that family. Nobody wants to talk about incest in America, but it's real and it happens. And it happens, ladies and gentlemen, in very, very wealthy families. Why? Simple, to keep the money in line.
Absolutely, it does.
Absolutely.
And in the autopsy, there
They
was a
don't
little bit
want
more.
anybody else to have access but family.
Exactly.
How do you, and it's not a new idea, folks. It's not a new idea. The Europeans, the Greeks, the Italians, the Africans, in fact,
The
they've been
royal
involved
families back
in
in the day.
whole families have been involved in
Yes.
incest to
Uh,
keep the wealth in the family.
yes. All the royal families back in the day.
Go to England. Look at the royal family. They are the biggest bunch of inbreds you'll ever see in your life. Yeah, they're all related. I hate to break the news, babe. They're all related. You know? Incredible. Incredible. Um, Here we go. We have something from the chat room. One solved mystery. That is the rumor that the former housekeeper started about the poop. Yeah. Well, that rumor has been substantiated by documentation. We know now that it is no longer a rumor. It
No,
is, in fact, a fact.
it is a fact.
But one solved mystery. Thank you for chiming in. If you have anything else to add, I'm going to keep you in our chat room. I'd like you to join us here and and have the conversation with us.
Yes,
And
please, everyone, add to your conversation. We'd love to hear from
absolutely,
you. Anyone,
very
please.
interesting case from a lot of perspectives. Let's just put this up here. Before JonBenet's body was found, there were many investigative mistakes. That's an understatement. Oh boy.
Yes.
Only her room was cornered off. So friends and family roamed around the rest of the house, potentially destroying evidence. That was a huge mistake by the Boulder police, but we have to say something in their defense. And far be it from me to defend the police in this one. The Boulder Police Department had never had a murder before. This was their first one, Amelia. Their first murder case. And they botched it royally. At 1 p.m., the detectives instructed Mr. Ramsey and a family friend to go around the house to see if anything was amiss. Mistake number 2, you never have a prime suspect walk around the house with a family member. Are you crazy?
Right. You
Where
get everybody out of the house and you do it yourself, but you
Oh
put
my
the
God.
little shoes on, the surgeon shoes on your feet first, then you put gloves on, and then everything else, and then you go yourself and investigate every little detail with somebody with a camera, forensic camera, and go around first to see if you can find any
Yeah.
clues. That's the first thing you do.
But here's the this is the part that makes me laugh. The first place they looked was the basement where they
That's
found her
interesting.
body,
That's the first place you go look is the basement of all
right?
places? Huh.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting. How would
It
you
was
know to look there
discovered
first?
that well, hold on a minute. It was discovered that JonBenet died from strangulation, which she did, in
Mhm.
addition to a skull fracture. So somebody hit her head on the ground, fractured her little skull, and strangled her. Her mouth had been covered with duct tape, and her wrist and her neck were wrapped with a white cord. That white cord wrapped around JonBenet's neck was consistent with cord found in the Ramsey household. Police never questioned it. Are you shitting me? Are you kidding me? For real?
It's like look at that cord over there, or look at this cord over here. Does it not match? Hello, people.
Is it me? Am I cynical here? Is it me? Or am I going off or like on a tangent for no reason?
I would have
Or
been
can
looking
somebody
around.
please tell me what's wrong with this picture here?
I would
Because
have been
there's a
looking
lot
around.
wrong with this picture here.
I'd have been looking around for any black cords or white cords to see if they matched anything around the house, or anything that was gagged around her to see if it matched anything, like an old T-shirt or something like that. Especially that paintbrush. Looking around at first and say, wait a minute, this looks familiar," or what's going on. And there's something else I know you haven't mentioned yet. You probably
Yeah.
will. What was what else was found in the autopsy? But my goodness, I mean, really, you missed that little bitty thing, the cord?
Well, yeah, I mean, but they were all over the house. Again, like I said
Exactly.
before, Patsy Ramsey liked stark colors, black, white. She did not like greens and yellows and browns.
I just pick up anyone. I don't care which one it is. I
Her
just pick it
favorite
up.
colors were black and white, and everything in her house was either black or white. Okay, including the extension cords.
Mine, I just pick it up if it works. I just pick it up. I don't care. I just grab it. I don't care what color it is. I just grab one.
Yeah, but you're not Patsy Ramsey.
Right?
That's different.
No, I just pick it up if it works. I know it's going to work. So,
The other thing that's interesting to this case is that the investigation into JonBenet's murder continued for more than 2 years. In October of 1999, the grand jury hearing evidence in the case was finally dismissed with no recommendation to file charges. I'm going to question that, and we'll do that in a minute. The jury did, however, vote to indict the Ramseys on child endangerment and obstruction of a murder investigation. The prosecution, listen to this one, Amelia. The prosecutor declined to prosecute them. So the whole thing was for nothing. This poor kid died for no fucking good reason. And her mother, I say justice came to her mother because her mother died,
she sure did.
but the father is still alive. And
Married
he's
again.
going to stay alive to see his son indicted for this murder.
Yes.
Or he's going to die a guilty party.
Yeah. But what's unfair is that he got to get remarried again and having a family. I mean, really?
Yeah, well, that's a whole nother story, Amelia.
Yeah.
That's we're not going to get into that. That's a rabbit hole. We ain't going that
Yeah.
one. No. How did you first become aware of the JonBenet Ramsey case?
Well, actually, we were just sitting there watching television, and all of a sudden, it just, the special report that comes on your TV, and we were like, "What? Wait a minute, what's going on there?" And we're like, "Oh my God, a 6-year-old little girl! You got to be kidding me!" We were just sitting there putting the kids' toys together.
Okay, so what were your thoughts? It had to be more than that.
I was just holding the kids tight as could be, like, "Oh my God, how could someone do that to our little children?" And
Well, sure, as a mother.
yeah,
Of course.
and I was just holding my kids tight, and my little girl, she's right there, and she likes to play dress up, and I buy her the little crowns, things like that. She doesn't like to be in pageants or anything like that. And
Right.
so she walked around with her little plate things and her little crown, and she walked around like that. She goes, "Mommy, I'm a pretty girl, right?" I said, "Yes, your mama's a little pretty girl." So she walked around with little fake little shoes, and so I thought, you know what, that could have been, I just can't believe that somebody would do that to that little girl, and a beautiful little girl that had a life ahead of her.
So let's talk about this case then.
Yeah.
It's been, oh God,
She'll be 35 years old right now. She'll be 35 right now.
It's been 29 years now.
Mm-hmm. She'll be 35.
Yeah. Well, it's been 29 years since the murder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in 29 years, almost 30 years, actually.
Yes.
You're talking about a case that has been ice cold because of bad police work, corrupt police officials,
very corrupt
political system in Boulder, Colorado, the influence of big money. The Ramseys were multimillionaires. By the way, we forgot to mention, Amelia, Patsy Ramsey was a beauty contest contestant.
And her sister as well. She won Miss Virginia, I believe she won that
Oh,
title.
good. Let's
Miss
applaud for her. She
Yes.
won
So she
fucking
wanted
Miss
her
Virginia.
daughter to go into the same footsteps. Why?
Yeah. Why?
Why? Exactly.
Well, that's a real good question. Nobody can answer that question.
Nope.
You know, it's easier to answer the question who killed her than why did the mother put her into a beauty contest.
Exactly.
Nobody will ever know that answer. I
Nobody
think
will.
the answer to who killed her is staring people in the face.
They just don't want
I
to
think
admit
it
it.
was mother and son.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes. Because
And
you
I
and I were
think the
talking about
father,
that.
as rich as the father is, I don't think he's got a fucking brain in his head.
No. He was just
Or
there
maybe he's just crazy
blindsided.
like a fox.
He was just blindsided. And you and I were
No, he's
talking
not
about it earlier.
blindsided, Amelia. No, he's no. He's not blindsided. He's ignorant to the facts. He's stupid or he's crazy like a fox.
Probably both.
Possibly.
Yeah. And you and I were talking
Possibly.
earlier about the brother, Burke, how you could tell that he did it because of the smiling. He's always smiling in every picture.
Let's take a look at that.
Yeah.
That's the show and tell time.
Yeah, it's my favorite part of the show.
Yeah. This is Burke Ramsey. I want people to
It's so beautiful.
you're
Look
going to
at that.
see him again. Now, this girl's 6 years old. I want you to take a look, take a real good look at her.
She looks older than 6
she
years
looks
old.
like
right
a
there.
6-year-old kid.
No, she does not.
She looks like she's 12, 13 years old.
At least that. Look at that right there. She looks like she's.
Yeah. Look at his face.
Yeah.
He's always got this smirk on his face.
He's like a guilty, like I shouldn't smirk, be here kind of
It's
look.
you know what it is? It's a nervous smile.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows any minute he's going to get caught.
Yeah. She looks like she's 12 or 15 right there.
I wanted that in there.
She looks like she's 18 right there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. There's Patsy and John Ramsey. Okay.
He's looking at her like, you think you're really going to get away with this kind of look? He's looking at her.
I want you to see what she's wearing.
Black and white. Yeah.
That's not the first time you're going to see that. This is the book by Cyril Wecht. By the way, Cyril Wecht is the country's foremost forensic pathologist. He worked on the John F. Kennedy assassination and Robert Kennedy. So he's been around. He's a guy that's got some credibility. The Truth and Evidence in the JonBenet Case. This is a book that nobody wants you to read.
Oh, there she is again. Black and white.
Take another look here, Amelia. What is she wearing?
A black and white outfit again.
Another black and white outfit. Okay? She always wore black and white. Every photo you see of her is a black and white picture. This is a photo taken at her funeral, at Patsy Ramsey's funeral. I want you to think about something.
Mm-hmm.
That's his father giving him a hug. Look at the face on his girlfriend. Okay? She looks very somber.
Yes.
He's smiling.
He looks excited, actually.
He's smiling at his mother's funeral. Now, we have to address the stupid rumor mill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Here's the deal. I can't make this shit up, folks. There are people who think that Katy Perry, that woman with the dark hair, entertainer, they think Katy Perry is JonBenet Ramsey. I would like to know where that started and who on God's green earth can look at these two pictures and say that they are even remotely the same. I don't see it. I just don't see it. So unsolved mystery. She would have been 32 to 20. Yeah. 29 years since the murders. She would be about 35 today.
Yes.
Waste of time. Moving on now. Okay, well then, thank you for joining us, and have a great night. Cool. So, the case of JonBenet Ramsey, will it ever be solved? Yeah.
I hope it gets solved very soon, and her brother pays for what he's done.
Yeah, we hope so too.
Yes.
We hope so too. I don't see that happening. Um, it's entirely likely that we will all die before they solve that case
Hmm.
because they don't want it to be solved. That's the problem.
The only way I feel that it will be solved is if Burke has a daughter.
Okay,
Maybe.
that's an interesting
Or
scenario.
a son, and he knows how
Okay,
much to love a
explain.
child.
You have to let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You got to let me ask you a question. So I'm going to pull you back a little bit here.
Sure.
Where do you get that inclination? What is it
That
that's
brought me to
feeding that?
that idea. Okay.
Yeah, what's feeding that craziness?
My pit bull getting into that thing. Well, I think I know it's because once you hold that baby in your arms, you'll know how much it is to love a child, and you'll do everything you can to protect your child.
Can I tell you something? I
Of course.
agree with you, but I also will contend that Burke Ramsey is a sociopath.
Yes. Well, that is
That's
true, of
why
course,
I don't think he's capable
of
of
loving
feeling
anybody.
remorse or of feeling love or of feeling anything. I think he's a complete and utter sociopath. And if I had to bet money, I would bet a large and substantial amount of money that Burke Ramsey is the killer of his sister, JonBenet Ramsey. And I
Yes.
said it for the world to hear.
Oh, yes. I
It's
believe that.
there. All right. And if you want me to prove it, then I have to be Psychic Angelo to do that. And luckily, I am.
Yes. He is going to prove it, folks. And I know he can.
Now, here's the thing. Um, we have had a number of people in that case speak out on behalf of the Ramseys and speak out against the Ramseys. Patsy Ramsey, when she was alive, was a divisive person. People hated that woman. I never knew Patsy Ramsey. I never met her. I never met John Ramsey. I've never met any of the Ramsey family. But I can tell you my first impression of Patsy Ramsey was she's a fucking bitch.
Yes. I could tell the
Okay.
same thing when I saw her on the
And I
interviews.
don't know this woman, but I'm over here calling her a fucking bitch because she just came across that way.
Yes. I thought
Like
of that when I saw
she
her too.
just had that air about her. Like her shit didn't stink.
Yeah, it's like, how dare you have something like that have some to your child? That is your child, lady. Come on. How could you do that to your child? How could you have your son do that to your child? How dare you?
Well, I think that
You
Burke
know.
was again, I think incest was a big part of this.
Yes.
I think Burke was a victim of incest. I think it. I don't think for any reason whatsoever. I don't believe that Patsy Ramsey was beyond providing sexual favors for her son, albeit how young he was. You got to question all of this stuff. A 6-year old girl that looks like a 13-year-old girl in beauty pageants where adult men are like having improper thoughts over this kid. She don't look like a little girl, folks.
No,
She
she
looked
did
like a
not.
teenager, a young adult. She looked like, and she was 6. Okay, I want look at these pictures again. I want you to look at these pictures. I want you to
Yes.
understand what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, look at this kid.
Especially that
You're
one
going
right
to look
there.
at that child, and you're going to tell me she looks 6. Look at
So,
her. Her
no.
hair is done up impeccably. She's got red lipstick on, eyeliner, mascara. Who does
Eyeshadow,
that?
foundation, everything, blush.
Who
Yes.
does that? That's my point, Amelia.
Yes.
That's my point. You just made my point. Who does that? Give me your
So,
insight into this case. Um, if you're a detective with the Boulder, Colorado Police Department, what's the first thing you would have done?
Before I stepped into the house, you meant? Or
Yeah,
well, first of all, I would have before I stepped into that house, I would have gotten everybody out of the house before I would have done anything.
thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Clear the crime scene.
exactly.
Get the people out.
Yes. I would have said, "Excuse me, but this is a crime scene. I need everybody out of this house right now."
That's what the first thing that should have happened. That's
Exactly.
the first thing that should have happened. What they did was when family arrived, friends came over, they trampled through potential evidence.
Yes.
They were walking around with Patsy Ramsey. I can't make this up. They were cleaning the house with the police there. They were cleaning the place.
Because they
Are
messed
you
up.
shitting me?
They could mess up blood plotches on the carpet leading to the basement from the steps down or anything. They could have messed up all of that hair, little girl's hair, or the mother's hair, the brother's hair, everywhere. They could have messed all of that up, of course,
Yeah,
even from the
crazy, ain't it?
kitchen or anything. They could have messed all of that up, all of it.
Crazy.
And think about it, because you have to get tweezers, you have to get plastic bags, you have to put them in the bag, you have to label it, and you have to zip it up, you have to put it in bags, and you have to move it to the side, and then you have to get so forth, you have to get Q-tips, you have to get the
Yeah,
blood splotches and everything, and you have
that's
to
standard evidence collection.
exactly. And they messed all of that up. I mean,
They
from
didn't do any of that.
they didn't do any of it
None of it.
because they couldn't, because there wasn't
They didn't
nothing
do any
there.
of it.
There
They
was
didn't
nothing
collect
there.
anything. Amelia, listen to what
Yeah,
I'm telling you,
yeah,
please. They didn't do any of
yeah,
it.
because there was nothing there to
Nothing.
collect. Yeah.
Not a thing.
Yeah. And see, that's what I would have done if it
Oh
was
my
me.
God.
I
And they want to know why the Ramsey case
hmm
is the textbook for bad police work.
That's probably under their training of what not to do in a
What?
case.
Yeah, it's what not to do in a
What
murder
not to do.
investigation
Yeah,
of
that's
a
probably
child on top of that.
training 101 of what not to do.
Oh my
Probably.
God, it was awful.
Yes.
Here's the thing. We chose this for a couple reasons. Number one,
Yes.
we're introducing everyone to this new series, Unsolved Murders. Okay. We wanted to take a case first that showed you everything not to do. How a good case to solve becomes a disaster to solve when inexperienced police and improper evidence gathering techniques are at play. Because you're going to see cases in the series that are textbook spot on. They
Exactly.
did all the right things,
Collected all the right evidence,
connect all
perfect
the
to
right
the
evidence,
T.
and still didn't come up with a killer.
Yes.
And still didn't come up with a killer. The killer in the JonBenet Ramsey case is walking free, folks.
Yep.
He's walking free. And I think his name is Burke Ramsey. And I think his father knows it. And I know his mother knows it. And I know JonBenet knows her brother and mother have a lot of explaining to do. A lot of explaining to do, Lucy. You
Yes.
know?
Very much so. And she will meet them one day and say, "How could you have done that to me?"
How could you? Yes. So, I will tell you, though, it is a compelling case. There's a lot to talk about in this case. I'm going to talk about one of the essays here.
Yes.
The first few problems stemmed right from the very start of the case. The police were inexperienced when it came to kidnapping and homicide. This caused many things to happen, such as crime scene contamination, tampering of evidence, refusal of outside help. That's another thing we didn't talk about yet. They
Right.
were offered help
Yes. And they didn't want to
and
take it.
they declined it. If you've never done a homicide, wouldn't you want to get help?
Absolutely. I would have brought
It
in the
tells me that,
FBI. I would have brought everybody that was an expert in this, especially if it was my first murder case ever.
yeah, well, I'll tell you what, though. It would tell me, though, it would really speak volumes to me. It would say, hey, maybe if you're refusing my help, there's something else at play here.
You're trying to
Within the
hide
first
something.
within the first 24 hours, within the first 24 hours of the crime happening, the police did not question the key witnesses or neighbors, which caused a major problem when it comes to who may or may not have seen something, especially something important. The pathologist also showed up. Oh, this is amazing. He showed up 18 hours later. How does the pathologist, Amelia, talk to me?
What?
How does the pathologist show up 18 hours later?
18 hours later?
Yeah.
What?
18 hours after the crime was committed, which can cause conflict in finding evidence, could have caused a lot of evidence to be lost. The body was already starting to decay. Remember, the human body starts to decay as soon as it dies.
Exactly. You would think the pathologist should be right there within a few hours.
It
Not even eight.
it did not cause others to come in, such as Ramsey's friends, the family members, which led to tampering of potential evidence in the house. They were cleaning the house. The biggest problem in the end of this case is the fact that the investigation became split between three groups which refused to cooperate with one another. The police refused to cooperate with the media. The media refused to cooperate with the police, and the Ramseys refused to cooperate with both.
What? I just don't
If they had
understand.
not put the difference, if they had put their differences aside and focused on catching JonBenet's killer, they may have successfully, instead of just arguing against one another, convicted a murderer in this case. The overall lesson in this case should be proper use of crime scene investigation techniques, evidence gathering procedures, especially when it comes to kidnapping, murders, because without these securities, it can send an innocent person to jail. It can also create havoc for law enforcement.
Exactly. I mean,
Think about what I just said. The Ramseys refused to cooperate with the press and the police. The police refused to cooperate with the media. The media refused to cooperate with the police. The media was saying, we need your help. This was after they refused help. Now, about 5, 6 weeks into the investigation, they said, we need your help. And the media said, fuck you. Okay? That's what the media said. Yeah, you need our help? Fuck you.
it's too
We're
late.
giving you shit. That's what they said. We ain't giving you squat.
Well, first of all, I would have interviewed, if it was a detective, I would have started interviewing the neighbors on both sides of the Ramseys in front of the house of the Ramseys to see if they heard or saw anything. I would have been very careful to see if I saw any footprints around the, hedges, if they had any hedges, anything like that. That would have been the first thing I would do after I would have taken everybody to the house for the crime scene.
Well, I think we've already established that.
That- But I mean,
Certainly,
why would they
the
wait so
first thing
long?
the first thing the police should have done
Yeah.
was to secure the premises and removed everyone off.
I just don't understand why they didn't question people. I just don't understand why they didn't do that right away.
They
That's
had no idea what to do. They never had a murder before.
I would have asked for the FBI, everybody to come in and help me. I would have.
You can't. You have to go through a chain of command. The FBI did come in,
Yes.
but not right away. It was only when the Boulder Police Department lost control of this case, which, by the way, was like almost from the outset, that the FBI came in. They actually came in about 3 days later.
Jeez.
because the Boulder Police Department they are their own authority there. Okay, you got to go through a chain of command. You don't go right from a murder to the FBI. You go to your local police first. Then you go to the state police. Then the state police call in the feds. You got to go local, state, federal. You have to do that.
If it was
Unless
my
the
daughter,
case, well, it doesn't matter whose daughter it is.
yeah,
Unless the case is so specific that something so horrendous has happened that the FBI have to be called in right away.
wow,
But that's the thing. The police department, they had to do their job. They did it poorly, by the way. They did it very poorly.
very poorly.
Again, I hate to rub your nose into it, but the Boulder Police Department, you suck.
Yeah.
Okay? You really suck. I hope you've come a long way in the last 29 years, but it cost a 6-year-old girl her life. How about that? Live with that, okay? Live with that. The
And
Boulder
also,
Police Department, live with that. You
and
cost a 6-year-old girl her life.
yeah,
And
and
you
then
cost
too,
her killer. You never
yes,
found her killer. But
yeah,
he's staring right in front of you. His name's Burke Ramsey.
yeah,
Look for him. Question him. Ask the hard questions.
yeah,
And do so outside of the presence of his daddy and
yeah,
his lawyers.
exactly. And also too, if you
Money
notice,
talks and bullshit walks.
exactly. If you
And that's
notice
what
too,
happened here, Amelia. Money talked.
money talked too much.
And it spoke loudly.
Oh, very much so. And then too, if you notice, the mother, she did not cry really once at all.
Not one tear.
I mean, if it was me, if it was my daughter, or if you notice it, if it was your child, I'd be like, "You better find my daughter, find my daughter." I'd be hysterical. I'd be
I know you
hysterical.
would. I know.
I, anybody would be hysterical. Like, that's my daughter. You better
Well,
find her.
any human being with
With a heart,
emotion.
with feelings, and she did not want to have it all. And if you notice all the interviews, she did most of the talking.
She did all
The
the talking.
and he was just like this, like he was told not to even say a word.
She did all the talking.
Hmm.
This was her airtime. Don't you get it?
Yes, yeah. He
Don't
did
you
nothing.
understand? It was a show for her.
Yeah, it was pretty much all show.
She was hoping to strike a movie deal
Yeah, it was all
that she
show.
never got, by the way.
Nope, it was all
All
show.
deals were pulled.
Yes,
All of them. That's why there's been you realize that there's never been an authorized JonBenet Ramsey movie.
yeah.
There
It
have
was
been JonBenet Ramsey movies, but none of them have been authorized.
none have been authorized at all. Nothing,
Nope.
and it just puzzles me how.
So, Amelia,
Hmm.
Mama Pitbull.
Yes,
So, what's the lesson here?
the lesson is that if I would have got a hold of her, she would be in my dog pound, and she would not be um let's see, she would not have a little hair on her head. She'd be all bones by the time I got done with her.
Well, I'll tell you what. We are going to do an
And
incredible
the lesson is to love your
series.
children. Really, hold them tight.
Yeah.
Keep them close
Well,
to you. Love them,
tonight
hug
you
them, tell
saw
them you love them.
JonBenet Ramsey was. I think Amelia and I have. I think we've done justice to this. I think we've maybe opened up a couple of eyeballs. Next week, the Zodiac Killer. Who was the Zodiac? Amelia, who was the Zodiac? Tell everybody who the Zodiac was.
That one we don't know as really.
Oh, yeah, we do. Tell
They,
everybody who the Zodiac was. What did he do? You
well,
got
that,
papers this thick on the Zodiac.
yeah, I kind of do have. Actually, they're like that thick.
Okay. So Amelia's being like, I don't know, she's being ditzy tonight. Are you sure you're not blonde tonight?
I probably am, but I want
Okay.
to keep it a
Here's
little
what she's trying to
secret.
tell
Let's
you.
keep it a little
The
secret for
Zodiac
people.
Killer initially targeted young lovers in Lovers Lane in San Francisco, California. And then he started to target individuals. But for the longest time, it was couples, particularly women, a few men. Um, Interesting case, a very, very interesting case because they had not one, but two really viable suspects.
Yes.
They had them and they let them go. The other really interesting thing about the Zodiac case is that the Zodiac actually called a television station and spoke to them on the air, on the news. And the Zodiac also requested to speak to famed lawyer Melvin Belli. And he did on television, on the air. They arranged for a telephone call at the television studio. At a particular time, the phone was going to ring, and the Zodiac killer would be there. Sure enough, that's what happened. And Melvin Belli was there to talk to him. Nobody knows to this day why he wanted Melvin Belli there. Of course, Melvin Belli is dead now, and the Zodiac killer, we think, is dead now. Next week, I'm going to reveal the name of the Zodiac killer to you.
Yeah, I have
And we will
one
talk
page
about-
here, and she was like 17 years old. One of the people that he killed, as young
What?
as 17.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty sad.
they were kids.
Very, very beautiful too. A beautiful young lady here
Yeah,
is one of his victims.
we're going to talk about it. Yeah, so that's next week. We've got, oh, God, Amelia, we've got
That's tomorrow. That's Thursday, actually. That's going to be shown.
Yeah, Thursday, not next
Mhm.
week. It's the Thursday this week.
Yes, and then we're going to have Black Dahlia. We're going to be discussing her.
Oh, the Black Dahlia is next
Yes.
week.
Yes.
One of Hollywood's most unsolved crimes. We're going to do a couple of unsolved murders from Hollywood. We're going to do Who Killed Superman, George Reeves.
Yes.
We're going to do Who Killed the Black Dahlia, Elizabeth Short. We got I got a couple surprises. Amelia doesn't even know about these. Because I'm always good like that. Sometimes I keep stuff from her.
Yes, he does. He does. He gives you a lot from me.
Well, look, I got to keep you on your toes, kid.
Yeah, he does.
Well, look,
that
we've
way-
got,
He likes to keep.
an
He likes me to keep the
incredible-
dog pound open too, ready.
Can I speak now? Or are you going to babble all night? Oh, my God. And they say I talk a lot. Please. Oh, my
You
goodness.
do too.
I do not. I'm a puppy. All right, listen.
Okay,
So
I'll give
Thursday
you
night,
that one.
join us for the Zodiac. Who is the Zodiac? For Amelia, the pit bull. I am the mad dog. And we'll see you Thursday night as we explore the mystery of the Zodiac killer. Take care, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
See you Thursday.